Hello and a hearty welcome to today's video. Today I've brought with me a special yoga sequence which I'd like to introduce you to, and it's for your spine, so that you have a subtle spine which feels in balance. Because what happens usually? We have certain tasks we do during the day, and we tend to do the tasks in the always in a similar way, in the same pattern. And especially when you are right-handed, you do a lot of things with your right hand. When you're left-handed, you do a lot of things with your left hand. And what happens during the day is that our spine somehow gets distorted, or maybe it gets used in a certain way, and therefore we get like a blockage in the spine somewhere. And the exercise I want to show you today, the sequence I want to show you today, is especially to balance this out so that you have an erect spine, that you can stand up straight, and you basically avoid getting back pain from doing tasks in always a similar fashion, in a similar way. Okay, what do you need? You need a chair, and either you need a bolster like this, which you can place in the middle of your chair, or alternatively, just take a blanket and you roll it like this, and then put it in the middle of your chair. Then you take your seat comfortably, and what do you realize? There are two things. First thing, your feet are planted firmly on the ground, which is really important to have an erect spine, okay? And the second thing you may realize is that when you sit on that blanket or on that bolster, your hips are actually free to move a lot more, like when you are seated on a chair normally, okay? And that's what we're using for this exercise. And the other thing that's important is we are not leaning backwards, we're actually erect, so your spine is free to move. Okay, let's start with the exercise. Okay, just move your pelvis to the right side. And when you breathe in, you have an erect spine. With your breath out, you just let your hip sink to the right again. And with your breath in, you're having an erect spine. Just repeat this exercise. Every time you breathe out, you let your hip sink to the right. And every time you breathe in, you get your spine straight again. Okay, just look into your body, especially what do you feel in your hip? What happens here? Whenever your hip moves to the right, on the other side, your tail gets very small. So you can actually help in this exercise that you make this very specific, that you move your muscles on your tail side closely together. So whenever your hip moves right, your tail also gets very small on the other side to also train your muscles there. Okay, now come to we start the exercise on the other side. So you move your hip to the left side, and when you breathe in, you straighten up again. With your breath out, you move your hip to the left side, and with your breath in, you straighten up again. Just repeat this exercise in your own breath. Okay, feel into your body and this specific exercise. What happens here? Every time your hip moves to the left, your tail on the right side gets very small. So you can actually try and make this exercise a little bit more intensive, that every time your hip moves to the left, you actually try to make your tail very small on the other side. So just continue this exercise, feeling what happens in your body. Also look that whenever you breathe in, you straighten up again properly. Okay, now come back to the middle and end this exercise. And just feel into your pelvis. How does it feel? Maybe you want to stand up and feel a little bit more into your body. How does it feel? I feel warmth because we've done something with our pelvis, with our hip. And yes, I can also feel my muscles because we've actually moved them quite a bit. Maybe you even have muscle ache tomorrow, but then you know what you've done, so that's good. Then you sit down again and we prepare for the second exercise. So plant your foot on the ground properly again. And we only exercised at the moment in a front plane, but now we want to move your spine a little bit into one direction. So for example, you put your hands on the right side of your leg, and now you also move at the same time your spine. So when you do the exact same exercise again, now you're using different muscles in your spine. So you let your hips sink to the right, and when you breathe in, you straighten up your spine again. With the next breath out, you let your hips sink, and with your breath in, you straighten up your spine again. Just continue this exercise in your own breath. You can change the exercise a little bit every time you practiced by using your hands in different positions. So for example, you can move your hands right to your knee, or you put your hands a little bit further to your hip. So therefore your spine moves into a different position, and therefore you train different muscles. It's just very important to try these different positions, because that's what makes this exercise so interesting. Then you come back to the middle and you train on the other side. So place your hands on the left side on your leg, and then when you breathe out, you let your hips sink to the left again. When you breathe in, you straighten up your spine. If you breathe out, let your hips sink, and with your breath in, straighten up again. Just practice this exercise on the other side now, while continuing breathing in and out. And just look on this side again, how your spine actually moves during this exercise. You can actually change the exercise by placing your hands at different positions on your leg. So for example, moving your hands closer to your hip moves your spine a little bit more, and so you train different muscles again. Okay, come back to the middle. Okay, finally, let me give you some tips and tricks for this. Basically, this exercise is it's not very difficult, but you can use it in many ways because you want to make your exercise as broad as possible so that your spine has to move in lots of different ways. And how do you do that? For example, you could change this exercise to alternate between sides. So you move your left hip, your right hip, and the way around. Change it, okay? You can change the position of your spine by adjusting where your hands are. Okay, so you have different position of the spine. You're doing the same exercise and you're using different kind of muscles to doing the same exercise, and that basically keeps your spine healthy. Okay, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments or recommendations or hey, any ideas of what I should talk about next, then write me in the comments. Otherwise, I see you next week, right? Bye bye.